to this another Flutter tutorial, and in this tutorial we're gonna learn about Flutter complex layout. We're gonna let me summarize what we're gonna learn today. We're gonna learn about rows and columns to arrange widgets horizontally and vertically. We're gonna learn about stacks for overlapping the widgets. We're gonna learn about stack list view for scrolling the list of widgets, and grid view for grid of widgets. So we're gonna explore them each and every concepts in detail. So the first concept is of row. So in row we arrange widgets horizontally one after the another. I have prepared a simple example for rows. Is if you check out rows, there are some key properties. The first one is the children, that you are arranging the icons. These are the items, the widgets that you're going to arrange in row. And then the second important property is the main axis alignment. This controls how the children are positioned along the main axis, horizontal for the row, and also for the column. It depends, vertical for the column. So okay, so this is the main properties. Okay, so you also can have cross for main axis alignment. We have different, like the values, like main axis alignment, the start, center, space between, space around, like you see, start, center, end, space around, space between, space evenly. So I'm gonna give you the example for each concepts, each values. Then also for the you can have also cross axis alignment with various properties like end, center, cross axis alignment, that of value of end, center. So end, this aligns children to the end of the cross axis, whereas in the center it centers the children along the cross axis. And similarly you have a stretch, baseline, and start. And also similarly you have also max axis size. So let me just run this code. So if I run this code, you're gonna see this is a simple row example with the main axis element that is to the start. So it's gonna align all the items to the start, right? And similarly to the center, and this is aligning to the end, whereas this is spacing the around, so there is a spacing just in between. Okay, and this is the spacing evenly. Okay, so this is how it's working. So this might be very helpful for you guys. And okay, so similarly we can also have a example of a column. Let me go to the column. So let me go to the column example. Okay, similarly for the column, we can also have different styles, different alignment. Okay, so this is a simple example of a column where I have arranged different columns with different main axis alignment. Okay, so here this is the main axis is aligned to the start, and this is aligned to the center, whereas this is to the end. This is spacing around, and spacing in between, and spacing evenly. Okay, so the only difference between row and column is like it's just arranging in horizontally. The row is arranged in the horizontal order, whereas column in the vertical order. Okay, so that's it. And let's move on further with the stack. Okay, so what is stack? I have prepared a simple example for the stack example. Okay, let me just add the stack. Okay, stack allows you to layer the widgets on top of each other, right? So this is a simple example of a stack. So the key properties of the stack is a children, a list of widgets to be stacked. Okay, and then you can have different alignments, like alignment to the center. I'm just aligning to the center, and I have different children's, right? And this is the simple example. So let me just run Okay, so this is a simple stack example. uh, so let me see. Stack, this is the main widget of the layering, and then you have different alignments, which just centers the children within the stack, and then you have a container. These are used to create the colored boxes, okay, the red and the green one. And then you have different positions that allows you to precisely position a children within the stack, and then which like you have top, bottom, left or right. This defines the offset of from the respective edges. Okay, let's moving further. Let's go to the another example of a list view. Simple list view example. This list view actually displays the scrolling list of widgets. So we have a scrolling list of widgets, right? So these are static list views. Okay, so the key properties here are, if you see, you have a list view has a children. Okay, it's a list of widgets to be displayed in the list. Then you also have further the scroll direction determines whether the list scrolls vertically or horizontally. So axis vertically is by default. Okay, so you don't need to just specify that, but if you want to specify it horizontally scrollable, then you have to just define it, the axis to be horizontal. Then you can also have a list view builder and a list view separated. So let's give another example of a list view builder. Okay, so this is the list view builder example, so I'm going to display it. So actually this is going to create a dynamic list of items, and a constructor for this is like builds a list dynamically. So as I told you, so this is usually useful for longer list. Okay, so if you want to scroll, if you have a longer list of items, then you're gonna use list view builder. So the uh, main key properties are list this item count. Okay, so this is the number of items in the list. Then you have also the item builder, which is a function that builds the widgets for each items in the list. Okay, so this is pretty cool. And then let's go on with the another example of list view separated. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, so you have a view separated, so this list view separated, this is this helps you build a list with separators in between, as you can see in the example. And this separator builder, this one, is a function that builds the widget for the separator in between. So it's pretty cool. So you don't need to have write extra code, right? It's pretty simple, right, compared to that of Android, that we have to just manually create each items, right, with the border and the divider. Okay, so that's it all about the list view. So now we can move further to grid views. So let me go to display you the grid view example. Okay, so let's grid view actually displays a scrollable grids of widgets. Okay, so this is a simple example of a grid view. Okay, so this is a simple example of grid view. So the key properties of the grid view are this is a grid view. So count like list generate, you have to you generate the counts like the list of cards, right? uh, so there can be a key properties of grid view are the grid delegate. So you see we have a grid delegate in the grid, but this is for the if you are using the grid binder. So this is a simple example of the grid view. Let me show you also the example of a grid view with the binder, like a builder. Okay, here you see the key properties of the grid view with the grid view builder, which just creates the dynamic list of grid view. Is the key properties are grid delegate. It defines the layout of the grid, like which layout you're going to use, like silver grid delegate with fixed cross axis count. Okay, so this creates the grid with the fixed number of columns or rows if it's scrolling horizontally. Okay, so then here you have a cross axis counts the number of columns or rows, and the child aspect ratio. This is the aspect ratio of each grid item. Then you can also have a silver grid delegate with max cross axis extent. Okay, so this is the fixed, then you can also have a max cross axis extent. So where you have a max cross axis extent, that is the maximum width or height of each item, and also the child aspect ratio, which is the aspect ratio of each grid item. Then you have like item video, a function that builds the widget for each item in the grid, and the item counter is the number of items in the grid. Okay, so this is pretty cool, and this is a simple example of the grid that I have just demonstrated here to you guys. So now finally, the key takeaway of this tutorial is that for rows and columns, use row for horizontal layouts and column for the vertical layouts. You can master the main axis alignment and cross axis alignment to control child positioning. Use main axis size to control how much space the row and column takes up, right? And for stack, use the stack to overlap the widgets, and use alignment to position children within the stack. Use positioned for precise placement of the children. Finally, and then also for the list view, use it for the scrollable list, and use list view builder for dynamic list, whereas list view separated for the list with the separators. And finally, about this grid view, use it for the scrollable grids. Okay, and use a silver grid fixed cost axis count for the fixed number of columns or rows, and silver grid delegate with max cross axis extent for items with the maximum grid. Then use grid view, the builder, for the dynamic grids, and use a single child scrollable view to make your column scrollable. And that's it for the tutorial. I'm gonna also prepare a simple Medium blog explaining the examples, the code everywhere in this blog, in the Medium blog post. So I'm gonna add the link below. So catch you up later, guys.